said from Runnable. Yeah, I got up late due to jet lag. I was already running late, and I've got to the tube and there's a 12-minute delay for the tube, which is going to put me right on the wire for this race. Hopefully I can still get to the start line in time. I've got a bag as well, which I really wish I hadn't had now. But anyway, think positive, Ed. Just get it done somehow. Get to the start and get it done. And hopefully I'll see you at the start line. See you later. Bye-bye. So I'm currently at Farringdon. Loads of delays. Just my luck on my trip so far. Every connection, I've seemed to be waiting 10 minutes. So it's going to be right to the wire before I get there. But anyway, hopefully I'll just about make it. I see one or two runners in the same position as me on this train, so I'm not alone. Anyway, a good lesson for me just to get up a bit earlier. But I do have a bit of jet lag, to be fair, on the China trip. And if you're wondering what I'm wearing today, I am wearing, again...
Would Inspector Sands please go to the operations room immediately?
It's not me, by the way. Wave Rebellion Pro Beaters. Hopefully they'll do me proud if I get there. I may be starting late, and I hate that because I'm having to zigzag around, but anyway, my own fault. Stop moaning, Ed. I'll see you later. Bye-bye. Made it. Finished. Gave it all I had. Oh man, I think I've got about 36:30, something like that. Which, to be honest, given jet lag and given I got to the start line late, I had to do a lot of overtaking. Yeah, happy with. No PB. It's a tough course actually, lots of ups and downs. Not an easy one. I don't know why I expected, but not that. Anyway, I know I can run it better, but given I was in China not long ago, haven't been doing as much training because of that. I'll take that every day of the week. It's a really well organised race. Lots of people having fun. Getting moved a bit, yes, by Run-Through. But yeah, Run-Through has done a really good job. Cost me nothing this race, which is amazing. Well, apart from posting my number to my house, which is a bit of a ridiculous £5, but it would have cost me more to go and pick it up. So anyway, please, you know, I'd love to have got into 35s again, but not today. It wasn't that kind of course. It was a tough course, and as I said, I started quite far back, so I had to weave through a lot of traffic, but yeah, I'm proud of myself today. So it's not always about PBs, it's about putting in the effort. And when you run hard, you should be proud of yourself, and I am today. So thank you all if you're watching. Thanks for all your support. Take care, love you all. Bye bye. So got my bags from the bag drop outside the West Ham Stadium. Ooh, sorry Hammers. You go blowing bubbles, guys. But yeah, I loved it today. Great atmosphere. Didn't quite have it, but not the shoes' fault. Shoes were great. Kept me well supported. Didn't feel unstable at all actually, and there was lots of ups and downs and a few corners, and they performed really well. So yeah, definitely I think a 10k shoe. We'll try them again another time, but yeah, I thought they did really well actually. So Wave Rebellion Pro, really nice pair of shoes. Let me show you them again. Really bouncy, you can really put some effort in, force down. and they give you good propulsion and good toe off, toe spring. I think for mid-foot strikers, where you're going to hit the bump, you're going to get a real roll through and bounce through. You're going to be something fantastic. So anyway, excuse my French. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. And yeah, I think well done run through. Great event, considering it's free for all these people. It's fantastic, really. Some really good runners out there as well. I think the guy who was winning by a mile. I mean, he must have been like row 30s, might have been row 30. I'll have a look after them. But, yeah, make my way home now, I think. Quite cold, so I'm not going to hang around, but I did my best today, and that's all you can do. See you later. Bye-bye. Last dance. What a feeling. What a feeling. What a feeling after running 10k. Great feeling. See you later. Bye.
In today's London 10.
The guy in the red who won by
And a
over
massive
2
thank
minutes.
you to Asics for sponsoring our prizes
31
this
minutes
morning.
he did it.
Well done,
Amazing.
guys. And of course, massive well done to everyone who has crossed that finish line and those of you still out there with us. It doesn't matter where you come, you have done an incredible job for just getting on that start line. So massive well done, guys. We've got a prize this morning. Please take a seat and of course if you are anywhere in the vicinity of the stage. Some incredibly fast times this morning. If you just hang on up here, we'll get all of you up here at some point.
Yes, I know. Sun's coming out. Right. Fantastic. Hi everyone, it's Ed from Runnable, and this is my race review of the Mizuno Wave Rebellion Pro Beta, or Zebra. This is a shoe that I used today in a 10k, the Asics London 10, which was actually a free race organised by Run Through. It was predominantly in and around the Olympic Park, and there was a little bit of a run on the running track as well, actually. So I used the shoe, and in this review I'll tell you what it's like to race in this shoe over 10k, what I liked about the shoe, what I didn't like so much about the shoe. And you know, I've raced now 2 races in this shoe, a 5k and a 10k, and I'm starting to understand the shoe a little bit more, so I'll explain my thoughts about this shoe and where I think it could fit in or not in terms of racing or your rotation and that type of thing. So let's talk a little bit about what it was like to run in this shoe today. So you know, to get it out of the way to start with, I'm going to get my moans out of the way. I'm still a little bit jet lagged from China, so that played a part today. You know, without a doubt, it played a part. I was also, because of the jet lag, I didn't wake up very quickly. I wasn't very switched on, and it took me a while to get ready, and I was running behind. And in the end, I only made the start line with 2 minutes to spare, and I was quite far back. So those are my 2 moans or caveats, if you like, before we talk about this shoe. So let's talk about the race and this shoe then. So as I said, I started quite far back for me. So I started at the back of the 1 hour 40 group. And there was a lot of weaving in and out, whereas I was trying to get to the group I would normally run with. But what I would say first and foremost is that while I was running in this shoe, I didn't get overtaken once, not once actually. So I was obviously running quite well in this shoe. I was starting from behind, and I was gradually picking people off. It was very good, I felt very good going down the hills, not quite as good going up the hills. This is where I kind of missed having the Sky Parrot or the Sky Edge. on. There were lots of downs and ups, and some bits were quite steep, some bits were, there's quite a incline and there's quite a decline. So all in all, it was a tricky race actually, and there's lots of twists and turns. I'll put the map of the course, my Strava map, and you'll see there's a bit of a spaghetti junction. And so this probably, in hindsight, given the actual route, was not the best choice of shoe, because one thing it isn't is it's not good on turns. You need long, flat straights basically, and that's when you can really pick up speed in this shoe. So I kept feeling like I was picking up speed, and then we'd either hit a downward or an upward slope or a bend, and I couldn't quite get flowing today. That said, excuse me, I still ran 36:30 in the shoe, so a decent effort for me, and thank you for all those people who've commented on my Strava. I'll put the link to my Strava in the description, but you're more than welcome to follow me if you like. The more the merrier, to be honest. But those who did say well done, thank you for that. I mean, so the good things about this shoe in the race, like I said, I didn't get overtaken by anyone, so I was obviously picking up pace in this shoe. It was obviously a good shoe to bound along, to keep going. It protected my legs. I never at one point felt any issues with my legs. Actually, this time no issues with my ankles either. Maybe at the end slightly sore, but nothing much. Nothing more than any other shoe, to be honest. So good protection, good cushioning, good bounce. Going up hills, I found them not quite as effective as some of the other shoes that I've got, like I mentioned, the Edge or Sky Paris. And there were quite a lot of ups and downs, undulations in this course. So it's not the shoe's fault, it's my fault. I should have thought a bit more about the route. But again, due to like China and jet lag, I didn't really do much research in the race today. I assumed it would be a little bit flatter and a bit longer stretches, but it wasn't. But that said, it performed pretty well considering. And certainly where we did have longer stretches, like right towards the end, where there was just one kind of around the stadium, we just go and it was fairly flat. I started to pick people off in this shoe, and these were the quicker runners that I caught up with. So I feel like I could have gone on in this shoe. I wasn't by any means shattered at the end. So I think it conserved my energy well. That's not to say I didn't put any effort in, I did, but I just feel like this shoe kind of makes running effortless. Do I think it's a good 10k shoe or 5k shoe? And this is where I feel like there's some negatives here. I feel like the shoe might be a touch soft, just a touch, for these quicker races, the 5 and 10k. I feel like if I had an Endorphin Elite, which is a firmer ride, still bouncy but firmer on my feet today, I would have gone faster. And I feel like the same if I'd had one of the Edge or Sky Paris shoes on, I would have gone a bit faster today. I'm sure my legs wouldn't have felt as good at the end, but I would have raced faster. And the same goes for the Alpha Fly 3. In fact, I think that's probably, a sweet spot for that shoe actually. I can imagine that a 10k in that shoe. And I did one recently, if you remember, in Battersea Park and came second. And I think that shoe's very effective over that distance. I think this shoe, I'm starting to understand it a bit more, the Wade Rebellion Pro Beta, that this shoe I think lends itself to longer distances. I think this, I'm more and more beginning to believe this is a half marathon, potential marathon shoe, because it protects it's not quite as fast as those shoes I've mentioned, but it doesn't half protect your feet and your legs and gives you good cushioning. I think it kind of rivals the Cielo. I think the Cielo might be a touch quicker. It's very close. But I think this maybe is slightly bouncier, and they're pretty similar, to be honest. And I think both would be an interesting combo, comparison at that kind of half marathon distance. I think the obvious differences are the Cielo's more stable.
So anything with lots of twists and turns, anything with the tricky kind of surfaces, it's yellow everywhere, every day. This shoe though, I think may on the long stretches may be quicker than the Cielo, and a bit like the Primex, and it does remind me of the Primex's shoe. I think if you can just, you know, hit a long straight stretch, flat stretch, and just keep bounding along, you can pick up some real pace in this. Where you have problems is where you have to corner and turn and you slow down and you have to start again. It's not a good shoe for stopping and starting. The other shoes I mentioned, the Edge, the Sky Paris, all those shoes are much better than this for that. So in the future, I'm going to be very careful which, you know, routes, which races I use this for. So this would have been, I think, a pretty good shoe for the Berlin or Chicago Marathon. You know, with those long stretches, those wide roads, and particularly Chicago, where you don't have to zigzag, stop, start. You know, you can just hit the road, keep going. I think this would have been a really good option. So that's my slight worry with this shoe. It's not quite as good. It's not nimble enough for some of these routes you have in these races. But pick the right route, and this is a really effective weapon. And I'm starting to think, because it's slightly softer, it might even lend itself even more to the longer distances where you need that more protection. And so I'm looking forward to using this in a half marathon next year and seeing if I'm right. My theory is it's going to allow me to keep that kind of 10k pace going for half marathon distance. And if that actually happens, then I'll be PBing the half marathon by quite a long way. Because I tend to slow down quite a bit the further the distance goes. So if you think about my 5k PB is 17:08 or something around there. My 10k PB is 35:30. Okay. My half marathon PB though starts to look not quite as good at 1 hour 22. I mean, it's still okay. You know, I still work hard and I'm proud of that. But it, you know, relatively speaking, it starts to look not quite as good. And then my marathon is 2 hours 55. So I think the half and the half marathon and the marathon are pretty consistent. So I get the feeling this could be a good shoe for those distances, but I'm not convinced now for most 5k and 10k routes that this is the most effective shoe. And that's from having 2 races now. First race, I was 5k, I was a little bit more convinced about this shoe, but that was Battersea and there were some long stretches. But for this race, I think the route and the fact that, you know, there was quite a few undulations and particularly going up the hills, the inclines, I struggled a little bit in this year. And I felt that if those were the kind of areas, if any, that people were trying to catch me, whereas most of the time, you know, I was flying, you know, going down the hills in these is an incredible experience. The grip on it is just brilliant. At no time did I feel it skiddy at all. You know, going around corners, you can't corner very quickly, but you never feel like you're going to topple because of this grip. So that's kind of how I feel. Likes and dislikes. So like I said, like the bounciness, like how it protected my legs. Still a quick shoe, allows you to bound along, very propulsive, good energy return. Lovely upper, didn't feel any issues with the upper, got good lockdown. Remember, this is a bigger size than I'm used to, and it still keeps my foot nice and locked in. There's no issues with my feet. Sometimes after, you know, 10Ks or half marathons, my toes hurt. Got none of that with this shoe. It's very good upper. The grip is amazing. So they're the things I like. The things I don't quite like is, and there aren't many, I would say, it's slightly unstable, so cornering, the grip helps, but I still feel like I'm slowing down a little bit. And when I slow down, I find this hard to pick up the pace again. It's not what I would class as a high cadence promoting shoe. It's not one where immediately you want to just hit the cadence really fast because it's so light and nimble. it feels a big shoe on your foot. It's light, but it feels big. So that, you know, there are better shoes for that kind of thing. And the Edge, definitely. The Sky, yes. Even the Alpha Fly, which is comparable even in size to this shoe. But I just feel it's a nimbler shoe, a bit firmer and a little bit quicker. All those shoes that I mentioned, I think, are slightly quicker than this shoe. So they're my thoughts. All in all, positive. I don't want this to be a negative review. For those that are buying this, considering buying this, this is a bloody good shoe, right? Excuse my French. Really good, really fun. Like this yellow, just a bit more unstable. You bound along. If you like the Prime X, you're going to love this shoe. Brings a smile to my face. It felt good out there today. I'm still moaning again, sorry. I'm still recovering a little bit from this cold. So I was, you know, rubbing my nose a lot to try and get rid of, you know what. You know, so I'm not at peak form at the moment. And I was a minute down on my most recent, you know, PB for the 10K, sorry. So a minute down. So that's quite a lot, to be honest. I wasn't expecting to be a minute down. But that said, there are mitigating circumstances for that. China not feeling brilliant, getting there late. All in all, I think the shoe itself can't be blamed for any of that. It's my fault. So I still think this is a viable option. I'm just suspecting that for me, this is going to become more of a half marathon, possibly marathon shoe, because I love the bounce and the cushioning and the softness of this shoe. And over that half marathon distance in particular, I think it'll allow me to keep going at that 10K pace. As long as there aren't too many twists and turns and stuff like that, it'll allow me to keep going at that 10K pace as much as I can anyway. And that will invariably allow me to PB the half marathon, which I haven't done for nearly 2 years, right? It's the one distance where I haven't PB'd for a long time. I haven't been doing that many of them, but it's on my goal list for next year to get a PB in the half marathon. And I have a theory for those that are doing marathon trainings. Next year I'm going to try something different. I'm going to do quite a few half marathons, and I'm going to get my half marathon time right down if possible. So it's 1:22 at the moment. I want it down to the 1:18s, 1:17s. Then I know when I do a marathon, if I'm at the halfway point, you know, I can get that halfway point down from what it was in Chicago, my PB, which is 1:24 to 1:20. And then I'm going to have more time in the bank for the second half of the marathon. Now, I know some of you are thinking, that's not a good way to run a marathon. Well, to be honest, you know, we hear a lot about negative splits, and that's the right way to run a marathon. Well, here's the thing. Most elites are thinking about negative splitting, and most runners like us are told we should be thinking about negative splits. And if you can achieve a negative split, great. I mean, it's a good way to run a marathon because it means you're picking up pace in the second half and you're finishing strong. But most people don't, and there's a reason for that. We're not elites, and eventually we do struggle towards the end of the marathon. Whether we've conserved energy or not in the first half of the marathon, we often struggle regardless. And sometimes, I'm not saying all the time, but sometimes it is quite nice to not be chasing the clock and have that time in the bank. And that's what I did with Chicago. It was the reverse of Berlin. Berlin, I took it slower in the first half and finished strong. And in Chicago, I went for it first half, and then towards the end slightly died. But I got a quicker time than Berlin and felt actually a lot more overjoyed at the end of Chicago. I felt like I'd run my heart out. So what I'm saying to you is it's not always the right way to run. You sometimes have to play it tactically. There are some marathon courses that you will never negative split. Like, it's so hard to do it. Like Boston is a good example. Boston, the first half of the Boston Marathon is so much easier than the last half. The same with Loch Ness. Exactly the same. They're very similar, weirdly, in terms of you know, in terms of the route, but not in terms of the scenery, of course. So just bear that in mind. But in my marathon training, this has got a bit off-piste, this conversation. It was meant to be about the shoe, but anyway, my marathon training, I'm going to concentrate on half marathon. I want to get that time right down, so I know when I hit that halfway point in the marathon, you know, I can hit it at a much quicker pace than I'm currently doing, and I'm going to have that time in the bank. And that's going to be a tactic I'm going to employ this year. And if it spectacularly backfires, I'll be the first to admit it. But that's what I'm going to try and do for London. Anyway, talking shit now, aren't I, Paul? But I hope you've enjoyed this review. It's a thumbs up still for me, even though the time wasn't comparable to Battersea Park. It was a tougher course than Battersea Park, and there were all those other reasons. But I still think this is a really good shoe, a very effective shoe. I just feel now, like with the Prime X Strung, there are other shoes that are slightly quicker unless you can get the right course for this, the right route where you get long straights. And if you've got the long straights, if you've got a race you're going to do with a long straight, you know, many long straights even, this is a great shoe, you know, and I will put this on straight away. Compared to all my other shoes, this would be the first shoe on my foot. But anything with lots of twists and turns, stops and starts, this isn't the right shoe. Ups and downs, well, downs is fine, ups not so good. This is not the right shoe. So I think that's all I want to say today. I hope you found that interesting. Watch some of the, it's not race footage, but some of the before and after footage. And I really appreciate all your nice comments and, you know, the nice banter that we have. You know, and anyone who likes what they're hearing now, feel free or not to subscribe. It's up to you. But, you know, I'll constantly put these videos out, and hopefully, you know, through your comments and through the likes, you'll get a sign of appreciation from you guys. Anyway, love you all. I'll see you soon. Zebra, top class.